But in your marketing messages, the most effective way to promote yourself without feeling salesy and yucky and arrogant and awkward and vulnerable is to talk about results, because they're the truth of your work and they will sell you without any promotion necessary. Results, results, results sell. Outcomes are the things that your perfect clients are seeking from you. That's what they want. Hey, it's Samantha Hartley of the Profitable Joyful Consulting Podcast. This season, we are talking about gifts and talents, skills and expertise. And today, I wanted to talk about self promotion. Do you feel great about self promotion, about putting yourself out there? Do you feel brave every time? Well, if you're like 100% of my clients, the answer is no, no. Self promotion is really, really hard for us. So today I'm going to talk about why that is. Like, what are the beliefs that keep us stuck when we're promoting ourselves? And then exactly what you can do. We're going to bring in some of those drivers from the 10 drivers of successful consulting businesses and figure out which drivers we need to leverage in order to help you get the results you need to get through your business. So first of all, I have an incredible client, like came out of extremely high level corporate, just like mover and shaker, the kind of person that probably wouldn't have taken your calls back when she was at corporate. And now she's finding herself in a position in self-employment where she is reticent to promote herself, and she gets into situations where she needs to ask for something or do something that she considers self-promotion, and it just gets stuck, right? Like really feels the friction of that situation. So I've been talking to her and to many of my clients about this issue. Why does it feel so scary? Like, what is so hard about that for otherwise incredibly capable and like impressive consultants? Why do they get stuck in this area? I'm going to say that we may be afraid of self-promotion, or it just may feel terrible to do it. We just may have a yuck factor around it. So I'm going to use the word fear interchangeably with those other feelings, because that's what comes up when we go to promote ourselves. So why is it so hard? Like, what are we really afraid of is, to me, the key here. Obviously, the biggest thing that we're afraid of when we go out to promote ourselves is rejection, like hearing no. I put myself out there and then I heard no. Somebody said no to me. Maybe we fear that others are going to judge us for doing that. But I think that fear of being told no is the thing that really shuts us down. And if you think back to like really visceral no moments, it's not like recent. The really damaging ones are way, 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 way back in time. In childhood. And it can be something as simple as we went to the playground and wanted to play with somebody, and do you want to be my friend? And they said no. Or we went to the lunchroom and we wanted to sit with some other kids, and they said no. So rejection is hardwired from a really, really young age. And we didn't really have the tools to process that kind of rejection when we were, 2, 3 years old, however old you were. And inability to process what goes on is like the definition of trauma. Not having the tools at the time, the abilities at the time to be able to process something. Now, for some of us, rejection may have happened way earlier. And for others of us, there may be just like that seminal memory that sticks for you about like at the time when I was rejected. And it's like that early incident is controlling your ability to really put yourself out there freely in your business. So that's not the only one. That's not the only kind of belief. And I want you to listen for other kind of incidents that may have happened to you that you feel like, oh, that's the one that's controlling me. And then I'm going to talk about what we can do with them. So the second thing that I think a lot of people are afraid of is not knowing the answer. Like, I'm going to be asked, I'm going to be called out. Now, what this looks like a lot in your life and your work is, first of all, not putting yourself out there, but over preparing. If you're a chronic over preparer, like I over prepared for this meeting, I really like, by God, I was not going to be caught not knowing the answer. I was prepared for every eventuality. I'm not saying not to prepare, but you know what I'm talking about, that compulsive sense of like, I can't be in a situation, I can never say I don't know. Yeah, it's not safe for me not to know. So that's, failing, the fear of disappointing others, the fear of, like, a lot of times, like, if your parents were not necessarily there to swoop in, then you were the one who needed to know everything all the time, and so you're kind of hyper vigilant about those things. Well, that means in business it can look like you don't always, take the risks that you need to. You don't feel safe going into situations without that over preparation, and you don't feel safe saying, oh, I can definitely help with that, because you feel like, I don't know absolutely everything inside and out about that situation. Right? This is why a lot of women don't put themselves out for jobs that they're 110% qualified for, but men will put themselves out for jobs that they're like 75% qualified for. So we know that's a phenomenon in our culture, and it's definitely going to come up around promoting yourself and feeling like you can claim your expertise, like you can, I'm an authority. So that's one I want you to think about. The third reason that I think we're afraid of self promotion is that we might look arrogant or self centered. Now, what did this look like in our background? Do you think you're better than us? Or the ever popular, uh, who do you think you are? So if you ever got accused of this in childhood, and I've said before that I grew up in the Southern Mean Girls culture, where nobody was able to assert themselves in front of anyone else, or the tribe, the whole pack of wolves would tear you back down. I know plenty of peers who heard this from a parent or a parental figure in their families. Like, don't you exceed us? Like, who do you think you are? Oh, what are you doing out there? That kind of thing. So, of course, we're going to be reticent to put ourselves out there if our expectation is that we're going to hear something like that about the risk that we took. If that's you, I keep listening. These are things that we're going to process. The next one, putting ourselves in the spotlight and feeling vulnerable. Okay, so uh, did you ever have a point and laugh moment in your childhood? Was there ever a time when maybe you were vulnerable? You like shared a secret with someone and then they shared it with everyone else. Or you were on stage in the play and you forgot your lines and everyone, giggled at your failure. Or enter any number of a million possible ways that that could have gone. When we have put ourselves in the spotlight or been in vulnerable situations at a time in our lives when we didn't know how to handle the repercussions of that, and a lot of times we weren't protected by the adults in the room who should have protected us. We weren't helped to process what just happened by the adults around us. And we are scarred as children from those incidents. Well, guess what? You're not going to feel that excited about going up on a stage, getting out in front of everyone, appearing on video, getting up on that at that podium, or putting yourself in any other kind of vulnerable situation, because hey, it just didn't go that well that one time, and I don't really need to experience that again. Uh, I think one thing that comes up a lot when we do things where we're asking someone for favors, like asking for referrals, is the fear of self promotion. In this case, is of being cut off, that everyone might cut you off. You have crossed the line because you have just wanted too much, asked for too much. I have a dear friend who in childhood, her mother used want against her. Like, she wanted stuff and she would ask for stuff. And her mother was so offended that her daughter would possibly do this, that she used the word want as a substitute for her name. Want, want, want. Ah, here comes want, want, want. Just using the idea of want. I mean, how can you put yourself out there, promote yourself, ask someone for referrals, ask someone for the business, invite someone to work with you, or express any kinds of desires or goals when you have that kind of a scar, right? It's going to be really hard to work with that. And the last reason I think that we're afraid of or reticent to promote ourselves is we don't want to look pushy or aggressive. Now, I can find a million pushy or aggressive examples from my personal childhood, being kind of a bold person, but the real pushy or aggressive thing that all of us are afraid of looking like is the used car salesman. And the more modern example of a used car salesman is the person who's in our LinkedIn inboxes saying, I'm going to get you 40 to 60 leads every month. Like, we just don't want to look that aggressive, that pushy, or maybe that needy. that keeps us from doing so many things because we have a terrible model for it. And when you have a terrible model that you're like, I do not want to look like that, like heaven forbid, if anything, I don't look like that, then we don't take those, we don't do those behaviors, we don't take those actions, and we don't take that risk. So those are six reasons, I think, six things that I think we're afraid of, like why we don't do it. And it's, it's such a mystery to me, like why don't we put ourselves out there? And then once I started digging into this and seeing this exact example with my clients and really feeling the empathy of it from myself, of like, I've been there too. That has been a thing that has kept me back too. It's really helped me. So I want now to turn to our 10 drivers of success for consulting business success. In those 10 drivers, these are 10 categories that we work in. And there are the solutions within these drivers to those problems that I brought up. So really the first category that's going to come up is mindset for success. This is one of the 10 drivers. And you can hear that a ton of this stuff is just mindset stuff. And the directive for you in here is basically to heal the wounds that are behind the fears. So if you've heard something in here and you're like, sure, a lot of that stuff, but here's the main incident in my life that is preventing me from promoting myself, from putting myself out there, from being vulnerable in public, from asking for what I need, for asking, for yearning, for having goals. Like if whatever I've just gone through, you heard, or a certain thing came up, or one thing to keep in mind is a little while after you hear this, if something hasn't come up, like maybe when you have a dream tonight or in the next couple of days, you'll be reminded of that incident. Allow that to come up. Allow that reminder or that memory to come up because that's the thing that you need to heal in order for you to be all you can be. So how do we heal that? You can work on it yourself. You can journal. You might have ways to process it. You can process it with a loved one. You might take this to a therapist to really work through. And you can work through it with a coach. This is something that I've worked with my clients on for years because these are the things that are in between them and the ability to be all they can be, to serve their clients the way that they want to. So if you want to begin the process of like healing this wound or really addressing the situation, then go back in time to those moments or that seminal moment that really is the difference maker, and sit with that child version of yourself and just be. What does she need from you besides just your presence? If you'll ask, you'll find that she has something to tell you, like, here's what I'm upset about, and I need to say this. And you can just sit with your child self and hear, like, what is her grievance? What does she want to move? What does she want to say? Is she sad about something? Is she angry about something? A lot of times you'll find that that version of your child self is upset about the thing that happened and may have never been able to tell that to anyone ever. And so she can tell that to grown up you, and you can hear that. And there is a ton of healing in just the hearing. She may be angry, like this wasn't okay. And you can say, that was not okay. I'm sorry that happened to you. And really, really be with that, yourself through that. And listen and ask, is there anything else I need to know? What do you want to tell me? Is there anything you want me to do? That part of you can be healed and be made whole by the adult you that knows how to deal with this situation. In many cases. And in some cases, you might want to seek professional help to help you to heal this aspect. This might be the time to recognize, oh, wow, that's like a major thing. And I think I need to really look into that. Great. Do. That aspect of us, that child aspect of us, when she is healed and whole, like she's a star. The child holds your curiosity, your excitement, a lot of your creativity, innovation, your ideas, your ideation, the part of you that does want to seek and explore and get out there and shine. So the more we can help that part of ourselves to feel healed and whole and safe, the more she is free to be brave and to put herself out there. So that's the work of the mindset piece of this. Now, The second driver is perfect clients. We don't just do all of that stuff in order to work with anybody. You don't take those gifts just to anybody. You want to take those gifts to perfect clients. You want to work with people who exactly what they need is exactly what you do. Now, they need you. They are looking for you. They are out there hoping and wishing and praying that you will come to them. So, in perfect clients, what I want you to do is I want you to focus on them and not on yourself. When we focus on ourselves, we get like nervous and we think about all the inadequacies and the I'm not prepared and all the whatever. It's easy to stay stuck and afraid of promoting ourselves when we're promoting ourself. But when we think about our perfect clients, oh, like tell them something that's valuable. Like share things with them, look for them, teach them what they need to know, help them, and help them find you. So go where they are and uh, lead them through show up for them as the leader that they're looking for right now. That's the job of perfect clients in helping you to promote yourself. Is like when you focus on them, you kind of forget about how nervous you are. You kind of forget about, well, I wish I was more prepared, or I wish I was younger, thinner, look better. All of the things that we wish we were. Well, guess what? Just put your focus on your perfect clients, and you're going to find that they excite you and they pull your genius out of you, and you kind of forget to be afraid of promoting. So the last piece of this is brand and message. You've heard me saying, like, we need to go talk to those perfect clients. So what are we saying to them? You're saying things that are in their highest interest. You're saying things that can help them, to feel relieved. And the main thing that you can say that will help you to feel uh, in integrity and in alignment and not like you're self-promoting in a yucky way is to focus on results and outcomes, not adjectives. So if you've ever read someone's bio and they're like, I'm a seasoned, they do the bio in third person and it's like, so and so is a seasoned entrepreneur who has got impressive results and has a, a spectacular track record and like all these adjectives, right? So like terrific, impressive, great, all those like tremendous, all these adjectives. Well, the adjectives are kind of self promotional. But if you talk about results that you've gotten and outcomes that you've gotten for your clients, well, those aren't actually adjectives or opinions or anything. Those are facts. Like it is a fact that you got this result for a client. So if you have increased their sales by 25% or saved their costs by 10% or helped them to retain 25% more of their workforce or help them to move through this change initiative so that they were able to X, Y, and Z, like those are results. And by the way, people are way more excited to read about results and to hear about results than to hear like, great, terrific, wonderful. Uh, it's the job of your testimonials when your clients are talking about you to use those adjectives. And that's super cool if they do. And you may have adjectives for yourself that you will put into affirmations. And that's also fine. But in your marketing messages, the most effective way to promote yourself without feeling salesy and yucky and arrogant and awkward and vulnerable is to talk about results because they're the truth of your work and they will sell you without any promotion necessary. Results sell. Outcomes are the things that your perfect clients are seeking from you. That's what they want. Okay, last one real quick on referrals, because I know that asking for referrals, asking for the sale, that this is a particular little hitch that we come up against when we're trying to do things, and it can feel really self-promotional. It can feel very salesy, and it can really um, uh, cause us to kind of like lock up and be afraid. So what needs to happen in referrals and all of these? You need to have an adult to adult conversation. So let me tell you what's been happening. If you're like, I'm afraid I don't want to ask for referrals because I'm afraid of doing that. Or like, I can't go in. Oh, when I try to ask for referrals, I always feel like, I feel so scared. Can you hear that all of that is like my child language? That vulnerability, it's all of it's your child coming out. And so when people will talk to me about, oh, Samantha, can you help me get more referrals? Because I'm like, well, tell me about what it feels like to do referrals. They'll do something like that. And I'll see their child come up. So they'll be like, I feel shy or whatever. It's a child. Do you know who should not be asking for referrals in your business? Your child. Your child should be like brainstorming and coming up with great ideas and like looking for like, oh, who would be cool to work with? Like ideation, creativity, sometimes in your planning processes, if that's fun for her, or like deciding what cool things that you want to do, or whose friends you want to be, and sometimes like what you want to wear to work. Your child has no business asking anyone for referrals. It's a grown-up conversation. Anytime you're having that feeling that I just modeled for you, so it's like, I don't want to go, I feel shy. That anytime that kind of thing comes up, that's your child. Now, your child might look different than my child. It might manifest differently. But when people have a temper tantrum at work, when they cry, when they get in a huff and cross their arms and are like refuse to do anything, when they get crazy angry and throw stuff, well, that means their child has come out, and a child doesn't have any business working in a business. Okay? Child labor laws. Put them over here behind the scenes when they can be creative, when they can have fun, when they are safe under the guidance of adults. So, adults ask for referrals, adults ask for the sale, adults conduct sales meetings, adults do outreach in LinkedIn, adults conduct these activities. And if the child does come to the office, comes to work with you, there is a safe container, there are clear boundaries, and a guardian, that guardian aspect of you, is always present to make sure that if any hinkiness happens, you go, you assert a boundary, and you put the child into a safe place. So, how do you ask for referrals? Hey, I have noticed that you are in contact with people that I can help. Would you mind, if you are ever in touch with XYZ person at that company, would you mind mentioning me? I would really appreciate that. That's my adult asking for something. Hey, I have had an incredible time working with you. If you ever come across anyone else like you who has these qualities that you model so amazingly, XYZ, would you mind mentioning me to them? Or would you put them in touch with me? Asking for referrals comes from a grown-up place. And when I ask from that grown-up place, I don't have that hinky feeling. I don't have that, right? It doesn't feel yucky. I don't feel afraid. I feel like, hey, if the other grown-up says no to me and is like, oh, that would be actually, I would feel really awkward doing that. Oh, hey, cool. Would not want to make you feel awkward. Perfect. Thanks. Thanks for that. Or if they say, oh, absolutely, I'd love to introduce you. Thank you. That would be super. The grown-up part of me took over that whole entire process. So I want you to experiment with seeing how you feel when you go to do something that is categorized as self-promotional, whether it is posting on LinkedIn, whether it's going live on LinkedIn, whether it is going into a networking situation and you're like, whether you have the chance to stand up in front of the room and give a speech. I want you to see what it triggers and whether you can look at what that was in your past, whether you can take the focus off of yourself and put it onto them, and whether you can just start talking about the results that you have gotten. Allow your grown-up to be in charge. Grown-ups do business. Yep. That's the part of you who knows what to do and can go back and take care of that part of you in the past and maybe heal some of the wounds that happened during a time when you didn't know what to do, because now you do know what to do. If you'd like help with any of this kind of work so that you can be all you can be in your business, then reach out to me. And with that, I am wishing you a profitable and joyful consulting business. Thanks for watching. I'd appreciate if you'd like this episode, and if you enjoyed the show, why not subscribe? Be sure to click the bell to get notified when new episodes drop.